All right, guys, so we are going to talk about area and circumference of a circle. Let's first start by doing some definitions, okay? So the radius is the distance. So the distance from the middle of the circle, from the middle to the edge of a circle. Okay, so what that means is we see this middle point right here, right? We see this middle point, and the radius is from the middle to the edge. And it could be there, or it could be here, or it could be there, or there, or there, or anywhere, right? So it's from the middle to the edge. Generally, we'll see it kind of going straight across. And this is your radius. Okay. The diameter is the distance. So the distance from one edge to the other. I forgot the word to the other in a circle. So it goes from one edge all the way to the other. So this is your diameter. Okay, so what else is important is that your diameter goes from one edge to the other edge, so it's twice your radius. Or you can find your radius by doing half of your diameter, because it's only half of the diameter. Okay. You won't really need to use those, and we'll talk about that as well. Okay. Your area, the area of a circle is the inside of a circle, inside distance of a circle. So what that means is the inside. How big is inside of the circle? Okay. So I'll actually just highlight that. You guys will probably want to highlight that too. It's just the inside of the circle is your area. Whereas your circumference is the distance around the circle. So it's the distance all the way around the circle. So that's your circumference. All right. So now that we've talked about that a little bit, there's some formulas to find the circumference. If you're given the diameter, your circumference is pi times your diameter. If given the radius, it's 2 times pi times your radius. Okay, so let's figure this out. So we're going to find the circumference. So this, we have to figure out, what is this first? Is this my diameter or my radius? Well, it goes from edge to edge, so it's my diameter. So I should be using my diameter formula. So I have circumference equals pi times diameter. So pi is just a button on the calculator, and we know my diameter is 10. So on your calculator probably looks like this, right? The pi button is right here. That's your pi button. So you're going to want to type in 10 times pi. So you'll do 10 times pi. Okay. If you don't have a calculator on your phone or on the screen, you're gonna well, on your phone you can turn your thing sideways and there'll be a pi button as well. Okay, so we're gonna want to use that pi button. And when you do that, when you do 10 times pi, you should get roughly, so round to the 100th, you should get 31.4. Not the hundredths, the tenths place, round to the tenths place. And then we always label, and in this case, it's inches. So let's do this again. So we have to figure out what is this. This goes from the middle to the edge. So this is my radius. So we want to use the radius formula. So that is, circumference is 2 times pi times r. Okay, well, 2 times pi stays 2 times pi. R, your radius, is 3. So I'm going to simplify this a little bit. 2 times 3 is 6. This is really 6 pi that you're plugging into your calculator. And when you do that rounding to the tens place, you should get 18.8. And again, label it as inches. Okay, so that's how you find the circumference. We have one more thing we want to find. We want to find the area. So if you're given the diameter, your area is 1/4 pi diameter squared. So that's a really long equation. If you're given the radius, its area equals pi times your radius squared. Okay. So now there's another button on our calculator we have to use. So we have to use the pi button, and we have to use the squared button. The squared button there. Okay. So that's too. We have to use the square button here. Okay. So we would do pi times 9 squared if it was like radius or whatever. Okay. So this squared button puts that 2 there. Okay. So let's look at the area. So this is, we have to figure out what this is. It goes from edge to edge. So edge to edge is your diameter. So we're going to use this formula. We have area equals 1/4 pi times 8 squared. Let's do what 8 squared is. If it's 8 squared, that really means 8 times 8. Okay, well, 8 times 8 is 64. So we have 1/4 pi times 64. So let's do 1/4 times 64. When you do that, you get 16 pi. Again, round to the 10th place. You do 16 times pi in your calculator, and you'll get 50.3. And again, we label, but because it's area and we squared it, we're going to want to put a squared here as well, because we squared our answer. All right, one more. So this is from the middle of the circle to the edge. So that's going to be our radius. This is going to be our most common formula, where it's pi and then r squared. Erase some, pi r squared. Our radius is 3. So we do pi times 3 squared. Remember, squared is really 3 times 3. So now we have 9 times pi. So throw that in your calculator. What is 9 times pi rounding to the 10th decimal place? Well, that is about 28.3. And again, we have to label. In this case, it's meter. So we do meters and then squared because we squared it. Okay. So this should be kind of familiar. You guys learned this last year. So we'll do a lot of practice with this. So don't stress too much. Okay. If you guys have any questions, make sure you ask.